very good morning to you. For someone who has not as yet paid attention to this, what in regard would UCC look at as offensive content?
A very good morning, Mildred, and our viewers. From the Uganda Communications Commission, we are seeing some increase or a reoccurrence of inappropriate content, content that is deemed to be offensive. And these are contents that basically have aspects of nudity, innuendos, suggestive contents, usually in form of videos. These videos, some of them are lyrics, and even images that are now circulating even on licensed platforms, whether it is on radio in terms of music, whether it's on television. There are a lot of suggestive dances now that basically undermine the integrity and the moral fabric of our country. Remember that while we hold dear the role of media and broadcasting to be able to inform, to educate and entertain our society and uplift it, we are also now seeing a danger whereby some protected segments of the society, especially the children and the youth, and even some decent citizens who may not be happy to consume adult-related content, are now beginning to see this proliferating on mainstream media. Remember that media is governed under the Uganda Communications Act, and we have the minimum broadcasting standards under Section 31, Schedule 4, whereby in terms of content, we expect that the content that is run on media houses ensures that it is not contrary to public morality, and that is very important because morality changes and shifts depending on where you are. The morality in Uganda may be different from the morality in the United States. The morality in the central region here may be different from the morality when we talk about the northern region of the country. So we have to be sensitive to morality issues. But remember that content also has to comply to the laws of the country. Under the Press and Journalism Act, we expect that content is classified so that it is scheduled appropriately, so that content that has adult themes is usually scheduled away from our children and youth so that we can manage and enhance their upbringing without adulterating their thoughts and freedoms in terms of consumption. So we are seeing a lot of adult-related content, suggestive videos, innuendos that are actually a challenge to our protected segments of the market.
All right, Mr. Bossa, media in itself will be a channel, for lack of a better word, and there is also production content, whereas you are looking at the side of where the content is actually being churned out. Are you also looking at the production stage? Especially I'm looking at this in terms of videos, the lyrics, because all that is part of the content that you are talking about. How is that side, the production side, going to be regulated?
Mildred, I think we need to be categorically clear here, is that we are focusing on the broadcast content that is being viewed, is being televised, is being consumed on the platforms. Remember that even with regulation, we are careful not to stifle innovation and creativity. And usually, even for adult-related content, there will be audiences that are mature enough that can actually consume that information, that type of content responsibly. So we are not here to curtail. We're not here to stifle innovation and creativity. However, while that content has been produced, the expectation is by law that it needs to be classified. Can it be viewed by people of 10 years old, 13 years old, 16 years old, 18 years old, so that broadcasters can schedule this content appropriately, whereby the segments that are being targeted for such contents can actually use them. I'll tell you maybe just a small story. When I first visited the UK in the year 2000, I visited shops and they used to have adult magazines. But these adult magazines were always put at the top shelf. Not that they did not exist, not that they were outlawed, but anybody who was adult enough would be able to get it from the top shelf, meaning that children, students, the youth, the young ones would not be able to find it lying around in the shop just for the pics. So what we are saying here for broadcast purposes, let us classify content. Production is good. We are not interfering with the creativity of producers, but in the way we disseminate this content to our different segments of the market, we would like to be careful to make sure that this content is appropriately scheduled. For example, we know in Uganda, we have that watershed period whereby between 5 and 10, we would expect that our children, our young ones, our youth are actually watching television. And we do not want adult-related content in that space. But beyond 10 o'clock, the adults, the me and you, Mildred, can actually enjoy some shows responsibly. And probably it is our now responsibility as guardians and parents to make sure that the children are not watching television beyond 10 or 11 p.m. So what we're dealing with here is the broadcast. And we think we can bring sanity to our media landscape to make sure that it can uplift and improve the moral fabric of our country without infringing on the creativity of production.
All right, Honorable Bosa, before I just, I blessed you with the honorable title, but it's okay, probably it's a prophecy. But let's get to the issue of who exactly this is being targeted. Because you say broadcast, yes, but with the advent of digital migration, you clearly know that there's a lot of citizen journalism that is going on. We have bloggers. Is this directed to them as well, or this is particularly for traditional media channels?
Thank you very much for that, Mildred. Usually when, for example, the growth in digitization and the evolution of the fourth industrial revolution, many people are now able to come into the broadcast space. Here, we are currently focusing on licensed platforms. Licensed platforms usually are these platforms that have been given the license to be able to broadcast, and usually they have a very large following. These ones usually they are licensed because they are following a set of guidelines, minimum broadcasting standards, for example, and the content issues therein. However, we are also alive to the fact that they are private citizens and individuals, those we call citizen journalists, that have mastered very large audiences, and we believe that these people, we now have to appeal to them. We also have to move and think ahead on how best we can appeal to this segment of new type of broadcasters who not necessarily are licensed, but are operating in this space to make sure that they fall in line. Currently, the law provides some safeguards, if you may realize. The recent amendments that were made in the Computer Misuse Act provides for certain safeguards for people who may share inappropriate content or offensive content openly and to large masses. There are some aspects there in computer misuse. They are not the be-all and end-all. They are not really the stopgap measure here we're looking for. But we believe that progressively, one, we need to engage more. There's a bit of responsibility that is required for anybody in this space, and we hope that many people will understand this. But even where enforcement is required, we have some aspects within the law that would basically put to book somebody who deliberately shares widely inappropriate content, whether you are licensed or not. The people who are licensed, good enough, know what is required of them. There are regulations. There are penalties that are clear to them. But even for individuals, you are not safe if you use your blog, if you use your platform to deliberately and spontaneously and simultaneously send out inappropriate content. We have still aspects of the law that could bring you to book, but that is an area that needs continuous improvement to make sure that even when we are working on this, it is not about the regulation, but it is about we finding content and ways of distributing it that does not contravene the moral fabric of our society.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim Bosa. I totally agree with you when it comes to not being able to erode the moral fabric. We will do anything that it takes to ensure that the youngsters actually get the rightful content. I've been speaking to Mr. Ibrahim